Now, 5 letters, 120 different ways. That's the meaning of what it says in Sefer Yetzirah, that 2 stones make 2 houses, 3 stones make 6 houses, etc., etc. Now, when we say that 4 stones can make 24 houses, 4 letters can be combined in 24 ways. That's only if the 4 letters are different from one another. As far as a different letter. And if one of the letters repeats itself twice, but then you lose half your opportunities, half your chance. Instead of 24 combinations, it's 12 combinations. But being that the name Yud Kei Vav Kei has 2 hays, hey, letter hey appears twice. Even though normally a word with 4 letters has 24 combinations, Yud Kei Vav Kei only has 12 combinations. So that's why the number 12 is so significant, because all the energy in the world comes through the name Yud Kei Vav. And since Yud Kei Vav Kei can be scrambled in 12 different ways, that's why we have 12 hours in the day. That's why we have 12 months. That's why we have 12 tribes. The number 12 is significant because of this concept, which also means that whenever you have the number 12 appearing, it is connected with other types. So if we have 12 months and we have 12 tribes, the 12 months and the 12 tribes are connected to each other. So the first month, we just read this past Shabbos, that the first month is the month of Nisan. So if the first month is the month of Nisan, the 12th month is the month of Adar, and the 11th month is the month of Shvat. So the combinations of Yud Kei Vav Kei are associated with the 11th month are also associated with the 11th tribe. What's the 11th tribe? If you count from in chronological order, Reuven was born first, Binyamin was born last. So the 11th tribe is Yosef. The last 2 tribes, Yosef and Binyamin. So Binyamin is connected with the month of Adar. That's quite simple to work out, because Mordechai and Esther, who are the heroes of the month of Adar, were both from Shevet Binyamin. As the Megillah tells us, Ish Yamin. And the month of Shvat is connected with Yosef. Why is the month of Shvat connected with Yosef? So, our times, it's not hard to figure out, because we're just coming from Yud which is the outside his name is Yosef. However, the month of Shvat was connected to Yosef before Yud 74 years ago. Where did we see the connection to the month of Shvat and the tribe of Yosef before that? It's the month of Shvat. We know the festival of the month of Shvat is what we're going to be celebrating tonight. Rosh Hashanah Le'ilanos, the new year for truth. According to Beis Shammai, the Rosh Hashanah Le'ilanos is the first of Shvat. According to Beis Hillel, it's the 15th of Shvat. But according to all opinions, it's the month of Shvat. And what's unique about a tree or about a vegetable plant is that it always grows, continuously grows. A human being and an animal also grow in their infantile stage. Once they reach maturity, they stop growing. But a plant always grows, keeps growing. That's why we call it Tzomeach, continuously grows. Yosef means to increase, to grow, to increase. So Yosef is connected with the month of Shvat, which is the month of the new year for the tree. Now, this message of continuous growth is a very, very important message, because it teaches us that we need to emulate the tree and always grow. A person sometimes can come to a state where they're satisfied with their progress. Okay, I've reached the point that I want to be at, and now if I just stay at this point, I'm good. But that's a very big mistake. The Almighty wants us to be continuously in a growth mode, continuously progress, continuously grow. In all matters of holiness, Mailan B'Kodesh, we always go higher and higher in matters of holiness. Never stand in one place. That's a lesson that we learn from the tree and from the plants. Always grow. So the month of Shvat is connected with Yosef, and the message of Yosef is to increase, to grow. Wherever we were yesterday, we shouldn't be satisfied with being today where we were yesterday. We should grow. Now, the tree doesn't only grow for itself, but a tree also produces fruits, which means that growth is not just about growing within yourself. It's also about inspiring others, being a good influence on others, and encouraging others to grow. And encouraging others to grow in such a manner that they should be an inspiration for others. As we know that a tree bears fruit, and the fruits have pips in them, which are later planted, and they make new trees. Those new trees also have fruit, bear fruit. The fruits have pips, and the pips are planted in the ground to make new trees. And so it goes round and round and round. So the tree doesn't only grow within itself, but it makes sure that its influence on the world around it should be continuously increasing and to produce the kind of products that will continuously inspire others. As it says in the Maimer of Yud Shvat, that the Rebbe said, the Rebbe quotes where the Rebbe speaks about the Moshe Rabbeinu is the seventh generation from Avraham Avinu. We want to know what we have to do as the seventh generation. We should learn the lesson from Avraham Avinu, who was the first. What does it say by Avraham Avinu? By Yikra Sham b'Shem Hashem, called in the name of Hashem. And the Gemara says, "I'll think of a Yikra of a Yak." Doesn't only mean that he called, but he inspired others to call. So the point is that we should not only be calling in the name of Hashem, but we should be inspiring others around us to call in the name of Hashem. And not only they should be calling in the name of Hashem, but that they should be inspiring others to call in the name of Hashem. And we should always be influencing others to take a role of leadership and be an inspiration to others around them. And in that way, we spread goodness and holiness in the entire world. So that's a little thought in connection with the fact that tonight is the 15th of Shvat, New Year for trees, and how we can apply that in our own lives, because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. The ha'adam eitz hasadam, man is compared to a tree, and we have to learn how to learn the lessons from the tree and the inspiration from the tree, and make it a reality in our own lives. We normally begin with something from the Seder. So I'll share a thought from the Seder. This week's Seder, there's a lot of exciting things happening this week's Seder, including the splitting of the Red Sea, and also the falling of the manna. And in the topic of the falling of the manna, the Torah puts in the significance of Shabbos. It says that the manna fell every day, and they were meant to eat it on the same day. Collected every day an omer, a measure of an omer, and that was enough per head. Per head they had an omer. That was meant to be consumed on that day. They were not permitted to leave anything over for the next day. It's actually a lesson in bitachon, a lesson in trusting in Hashem. No, Hashem looks after you. Don't worry about tomorrow. Hashem's going to look after you tomorrow. But there was one exception. Exception was, it says, it came on the sixth day. They went out to collect, and they found that they collected double. Everybody came home with double as much money. They went to Moshe and they said, "What's going on?" Moshe said, "This is what Hashem told me, that tomorrow is a holy day, Shabbos. And everything you need to bake today, everything you need to cook today. Whatever's left over, you can leave over for tomorrow. Because tomorrow there's not going to be any mun. All the mun that you ate, that you got today, you got double portions. You have for today and for tomorrow." Then the next morning, no mun fell. And Moshe Rabbeinu told them that everything you had left over from yesterday, and even though until then, anytime that anybody tried to leave over mun for the next day, it got spoiled and wormy. But this time the mun remained fresh, didn't get spoiled, didn't get wormy, and they had fresh mun from Friday for Shabbos. That's the concept of lechem mishna. It says in the pasuk, like laktu lechem mishna. And on Friday they collected double bread, lechem mishna, double food, double sustenance. That was intended for Shabbos. And in commemoration for that, we have 2 loaves on Shabbos, lechem mishna, commemorating the 2 portions that we got from manna in honor of Shabbos. It says when they came to Moshe on the Shabbos morning, they told him that the manna that made fresh, it didn't rot, the worms. Moshe said, "Eat that today. That's meant for today." Shabbos hayom Hashem. Today is Shabbos for Hashem. Hayom loisim tza'u basada. Today you won't find it. Today you're not going to find any manna in the field as you do it every day. Eat the manna that you have left over yesterday. That's intended. So in that pasuk we have the word hayom 3 times. Hayom Moshe ichlu hayom. Moshe said, "Eat it today." Shabbos hayom Hashem. Today is Shabbos for Hashem. Hayom loisim tza'u basada. Today you won't find it. So we have the word hayom 3 times, which our sages derive the mitzvah of eating 3 meals on Shabbos. 3 times hayom teaches us that we have to eat 3 meals on Shabbos. Now we know that in addition to the 3 meals that we eat on Shabbos, there's also a 4th meal. The 4th meal is Malav Malach, which we eat after Shabbos, in honor of Shabbos, to escort the Shabbos. So is there any mention in the pasuk that alludes to Malach Malti? So let's just, for a moment, look into this Malach Malti. Where does it come from? Sorry? So it said, the Gemara says, Kabbalistically it's associated with David. That's correct, yes. The Gemara says that it's appropriate to set one's table on Motzei Shabbos, set the table in a very special way, to honor the Shabbos. Now, in Shulchan Aruch it's brought that special mitzvah to have a Suda, Motzei Shabbos, to have a special meal, Motzei Shabbos, and cook something for Motzei Shabbos if possible. And it says that this is in order to escort the king on his way out. The question is, to escort the king on his way out when the king is still here. But Shabbos goes out. When it gets dark, Shabbos goes out. And we make a bracha, Hamavdil ben Kodesh, separates between holiness and the mundane. So it's no longer Shabbos. There's no longer Shabbos. The king isn't here anymore. So how are you escorting the king once the king is gone? What are you celebrating with the king if the king isn't here anymore? What's the point of Malach if it's already after Shabbos? Now, it says from the Arizal that the Neshama Yisera sticks around until after Malach. The additional soul that we get on Shabbos stays around until after Malach, after this, let's say, Shabbos meal. And therefore, it's not an obligation, but there is a concept, there is an idea of not doing any work other than preparing food until after Malav. It's not an obligation. It's brought, there's such a concept. Because the Neshama Yisera is still around until after Malav. The question is, the Neshama Yisera comes for Shabbos. Shabbos is over. The Neshama Yisera should go. What does it mean it sticks around until after Malav? Why specifically until after Malav? So the thing is like this. There's a pasuk where we say every Friday night. It comes from Parshas Bereshis. It's the first time that man is referred to in the Torah. I think the first time the man is referred to in the Torah was this week's Parshas. Actually, it was already referred to in Parshas Bereshis. So we mention this pasuk every Friday. It says, by Yevarech Elokim es Yom Hashem benched the seventh. By Yekadosh I say, and he sanctified. So what does it mean? He blessed the seventh day and he sanctified. But Rashi says in Chumash, quoting from Chazal, that he benched the seventh day, he benched it with money. And in honor of the seventh day, there should be 2 portions of money. The manna that fell in the desert came 2 portions on Friday in honor of Shabbat. That's the blessing of the seventh. And he sanctified it with the man, by the fact that the man doesn't fall on Shabbos. Time of Shabbos is too holy. Go out and collect money. Too holy for money to fall. So the holiness of Shabbos is expressed in the fact that the month does not fall on Shabbos. So that's why Hashem blessed the 7 days, blessed it with a double portion of money that falls on. By Yekadosh he sanctified it that the month should not fall on Shabbos. Similarly, on Shabbos morning we say another pasuk, and we quote from Parshas Yisrei from next week's 7, from the Aseret HaDibur. Al Kain Beirach Hashem Tziyim Hashabbos Vayikachem. Therefore, Hashem blessed the day of Shabbos and He sanctified. So again, Rashi brings from Chazal. What does it mean? Beirach Hashem Tziyim Hashabbos. Hashem blessed the day of Shabbos. He blessed it with a double portion of money. Vayikachem, when He sanctified it, that there shouldn't be any money falling on Shabbos. So we see that there's 2 concepts. There's the blessing of Shabbos and the holiness of Shabbos. The blessing of Shabbos consists of the fact that Shabbos has a double portion. And the holiness of Shabbos consists of the fact that the month doesn't fall on Shabbos. So simply it seems that one is positive and one is negative. The blessing is what does happen in honor of Shabbos. The holiness is what doesn't happen in honor of Shabbos. The month falls a double portion in honor of Shabbos, that's a positive. And it doesn't fall on Shabbos, that's a negative in honor of Shabbos. However, there's a lot more to it. That is, Ask yourself a simple question. In Yiddishkeit, we know that the day follows the night. Right? Shabbos comes in the evening, and it goes out the next evening. Starts with the evening, it goes Vayerev Vayivayka. First goes evening, and then was morning. Yom Tov comes in the evening, goes out the next week. Kippur comes in the evening, goes out the next night. Always the day comes after the night. When it comes to the Mun, however, it says explicitly in the Torah that the Mun fell in the morning. They collected it each morning. So when did they eat the Mun that they collected in the morning? Some of it they ate in the morning for the morning meal, the day meal, and some of it they ate in the evening for the evening. So the Mun that fell in the morning was eaten in the evening as well. So as far as the Mun is concerned, the evening follows the morning. So if that's the case, on Friday they got double portion. So there was a regular portion that fell every day, and there was the extra portion for Shabbos. So when did they eat the regular portion that fell every day? They ate half of it in the morning, Friday morning, and the other half on Friday night, the Shabbos meal. And then they had another portion left over for the next day. When did they eat that? So half of it they ate in the morning, or perhaps they left over some of it for Shabbos. So they had 2 meals from that half. And then the other half of the extra portion that fell for Shabbos, they ate Matzah Shabbos from a Malka. So it follows that when we talk about Hashem sanctifying Shabbos, He sanctified Shabbos by the Mun not falling on Shabbos. When did the Mun not fall? Didn't fall on Shabbos morning. So the 24 hours of Shabbos, when Shabbos comes in, Shabbos goes out the next evening, they're holy. And Hashem sanctified the day of Shabbos, and the sanctification is expressed. One of the ways in which that sanctity is expressed is by the Mun not falling on Shabbos. That's connected with the 24 hours of Shabbos, starting from the evening, going continuing through the day. But then it says, and He blessed Shabbos. What did He bless Shabbos with? He blessed Shabbos with the fact that the Mun falls a double portion. So when did they eat that second portion? It starts in the morning, and it continues until the night, until they finished eating the night meal. So it follows that even though the holiness of Shabbos ends when you make Havdalah, but the bracha of Shabbos continues until after Malav Malka. Because the bracha of Shabbos is associated with the Mun, and the Mun that fell, the special Mun that fell for Shabbos, was eaten by Malav Malka. Just like the sanctity of Shabbos is not just for the time of the generation of the desert. The sanctity of Shabbos is for all times. In the desert, it was manifested with the fact that the Mun didn't fall on Shabbos. A Shabbos is a holy day for all time. Similarly, the bracha of Shabbos is also for all time. Shabbos is a blessed day for all. And how does the bracha of Shabbos express itself? Through the fact that the Mun fell a special portion for Shabbos, which they ate on Shabbos morning and on Shabbos night. Right, so Shabbos. So the blessing of Shabbos continues into the night. The sanctity of Shabbos ends by Havdalah, but the blessing of Shabbos continues into the night. So if that's the case, we commemorate the uniqueness of what happened with the Mun by eating the meals of Shabbos, and also by eating the meal of Malav Malka. In other words, by eating the meal of Malav Malka, which is just like it was in the desert, that was still eaten from the Mun of Shabbos. Through that, we are the bracha of Shabbos is still here, and since the bracha of Shabbos is still here, you can still escort Shabbos, because in a certain sense, Shabbos is still here through its bracha. The holiness of Shabbos is not here, and therefore you're permitted to do work already. But the blessing of Shabbos is still here, and you can still escort. Therefore, the Neshama Yiseda sticks around as long as the bracha of Shabbos is there. Therefore, the Arizal says that the Neshama Yiseda is still around till after Malav Malka. Now it says that there's one bone called the luz bone in the spine. It's a machlekes if it's on the top of the spine, the bottom of the spine, there's a bone called the luz bone, which is different from all the other bones in a person's body. It's totally indestructible. It can't be crushed, it can't be burnt, it doesn't decay. Even after 120, when Pasuk says you are dust, you will return to dust, body decomposes and returns to dust. but the loose bone remains. From this loose bone, Hashem is going to reconstruct the body at the time of the resurrection. So it says, why is this loose bone? Why is this loose bone unique that it made this indestructible, made for it? One of the reasons given is because it says that the loose bone nourishes only from a lava molecule. The food that we eat from a lava molecule gives nourishment. Since the loose bone gets nourishment from it. And why do we die? The reason we die is because Adam and Chava were originally created intentionally to live forever. But when they ate from the Eitz Hadas, Hashem told them, the Eitz Hadas, you will die. Why will you die if you eat from the Eitz Hadas? Because the Eitz Hadas, it's the tree of knowledge of both good and evil. It means it has a mixture of good and evil. So when they imbibe in the fruits of the tree of knowledge, the Eitz Hadas, they imbibe evil. Evil cannot last forever. Evil cannot be eternal. But once they took evil into their system, they couldn't be eternal anymore. So they had to die. And that's also the reason why the body has to decompose. Because the body contains nourishment from the Eitz Hadas. And that, which has evil in it, that has to decompose. So the new body that will be created through Tiyas HaMesim will be pure and will be able to live eternally. Now, since the loose bone only nourishes from a lava, and Adam and Chava ate from the Eitz Hadas on Friday afternoon. They were created on Friday 3 hours before Shabbos. They were instructed not to eat from the Eitz Hadas. They immediately violated the instruction to eat from the Eitz Hadas. So the loose bone is every bone in their body, every component of their body nourished from the fruit of the Eitz Hadas. But the loose bone only gets nourishment from a lava malka. And it wasn't a lava malka time. So it didn't get any nourishment from the Eitz Hadas. Therefore, the loose bone is indestructible. It's eternal. It didn't benefit from a lava malka. So the question is, doesn't it make more sense if the loose bone is such a special bone, transcends the whole concept of death, transcends the concept of evil, it's higher than everything? Wouldn't it make more sense if it had its nourishment from Shabbos? Shabbos is the holiest day of the week. Surely you should get its nourishment from Shabbos. Why from Lava Malka? In what way is Lava Malka greater than Shabbos itself? So the answer is with another question. That is, why did Hashem create the tree of knowledge in the first place? If Adam and Chava were not meant to be created, it wouldn't have been a lot simpler if he wouldn't have created it. Not put it in the garden. Put it in the garden, told them not to eat from it, and that caused the whole problem that they ate from it and brought all kinds of calamity to the world. Could have not created it to begin. So the simple answer is, it was to test them. You don't have the opportunity to sin, then there's no big deal if you don't sin. They had to test them and gave them something tempting, and they were supposed to control the temptation, and they didn't. But it goes deeper than that. That is, it says in Shachal HaTorah and in other stories, that the prohibition of eating from the Eitz Hadas only for the first 3 hours until Shabbos. How they have waited until Shabbos, especially according to the opinion that it was a vine, they would have had the grapes from that vine, and that they would have made wine, and made kiddush from that wine. They would have elevated it. And if they elevated it, that would have been, in other words, to take, there is the Eitz HaChaim, the tree of life, represents Torah, is Hashem Elokim Chaim, Hashem is a God of life, Torah is Torah Chaim. So the tree of life represents complete holiness. The tree of knowledge of good and evil is the mixture of good and evil. So the idea was that they should take from the tree of knowledge of good and elevate it into Shabbos, have it absorbed into Shabbos. So then the tree of knowledge would have been elevated into holiness. They were told that the prohibition to eat from the tree of knowledge is only until Shabbos comes in. Yeah. Hashem told them that they can't eat from the tree of knowledge. Told them what the rules are. Until Shabbos, you can't eat from the tree of knowledge. Luz is the name of this book. I don't know if it has. Yeah. So, if this is the case, So the purpose of the tree of knowledge is not just that it should be evil. The purpose is to be able to take the evil or the mundane and elevate it into the holy. So Malava Malka, which transcends the sin of the tree of knowledge, is not only the ability to stay away from it, but it's also the ability to transform it. So what's Malava Malka? Malava Malka is not on Shabbos itself. Shabbos is a holy day. Malava Malka is in a time when the holiness of Shabbos is already, but the bracha of Shabbos is still here. And therefore you have an opportunity to take the atmosphere of Shabbos and the spirit of Shabbos and to bring it into the rest of the Malava Malka is the connector between Shabbos and the rest of the week. You take from the spirit of Shabbos and you inject it into the rest of it. No more Shabbos. So you're already eating a meal when it's not Shabbos, but it's a Shabbos-like meal. And with this, you have the ability to bring the spirit of Shabbos into the rest of the week. In other words, that on Shabbos there's no mundanity. There's no ordinary. On Shabbos everything is godly, everything is holy. But after Shabbos, you enter into the mundane world again. So Malava Malka is the idea of taking from the holiness of Shabbos and injecting it into the rest of the week, that the whole week, the approach to the mundane world should be a holy approach, should be an approach that is infused and inspired by the holiness of Shabbos. And that's the meal that the luzbon gets its nourishment from, because the whole idea is that the ordinary should be transformed into holy, and through that we bring about Chiyas HaMesim, where the mundanity of the world, which cannot be eternal, should be transformed into holiness, which will be eternal. Sure, of course. Not die anymore. It'll be eternal. Okay. So the question was, if that's the case, so then if we don't do Matzah Shabbos, you're saying if we bring the blessing of Shabbos into the week, then we shouldn't do work a whole week. Is that what you're saying? No, I misunderstood your question. Yeah. So this is and not only will it be blessed, but it will bring blessing into the week. The power of Malava Malka is to take from the spirit of Shabbos and the blessing of Shabbos and to bring it into the rest of the week. That's the power of Malava. That's why Malava Malka is specifically after Shabbos. You have 3 meals on Shabbos, and they're very holy, but they're on Shabbos. It doesn't really connect so much to the ordinary days of the rest of the week. And Malava Malka is a meal that after Shabbos. The Kedusha of Shabbos is already made up dollar. And nevertheless, we're continuing the blessing of the spirit of Shabbos. So that gives us the ability to bring the spirit and the blessing of Shabbos into the home. Yes, I'm sorry. You had a question. Who's they? I didn't say they didn't have Malava Malka. The Eitz Hadas, they didn't eat on Matzah Shabbos. Fruits from the Eitz Hadas, they ate on Friday afternoon. So since the luzbon only nourishes from Malava Malka, and they ate the Eitz Hadas fruit on Friday afternoon, so all the bones of their body, every component of their body was affected by it, except the luzbon, because the luzbon only gets nourishment from Malava Malka. Then that would have elevated, if they would have used the fruits from the Eitz Hadas to honor Shabbos, that would have elevated it. That would all become absorbed in holiness, and that would also become transformed. That was the idea. The idea is our mission in this world is to take the ordinary, mundane world and make it holy. So the Eitz Hadas wasn't just there to be a problem. Eitz Hadas was there to be the solution. And by using it in the right way, could elevate it and make it part of Hashem's plan. Yeah, then it would have been a whole different Matzah Shabbos. Correct. This is clearly so. It's the Alter Rebbe says in Shulchan Aruch as follows. To answer your question, the question was it's a mitzvah to have a lav malka, but it's not an aveda if you don't. So I'll just tell you what the Alter Rebbe says. He says that it is a very good thing to eat a special meal on Matzah Shabbos, lav malka, special. Some say you should cook something special for it. However, he says nowadays, since we eat shalosh seudos often late, so often people don't have an appetite for it. You can be yotzer with food. He says you don't have to necessarily eat shalosh seudos earlier in order to be able to have an appetite. Because it's not a choiva kol kach. It's not such an obligation, but rather it's a mitzvah min hamufta. It's the way to perform the mitzvah in the most special way. So if you want to perform the mitzvah in the most special way, make a point of giving love. Happens to be that the Rebbe was extremely careful with the money. But one of the mitzvahs that the Rebbe put a special. What he ate, I know nobody always washed them on. Even when Sunnah Shabbos, because Yotzer with Mezainis, Malki always made. Doesn't have to be straight after Shabbos. Anytime it's Shabbos. Okay, we're going to move on to Tanya. Tanya, we're up to chapter 51, Perek Nun Aleph, which is on page Ayin Aleph.
265, 266. 265 and 266.
Something is wrong with our technology over here, so we can't really hear you.
Just a minute, I'll try and see if I can make it. 265, 266.
Page Ayin Aleph, the numbers on top of the page.
Yeah.
You get in a moment the number on the bottom. 265 is the number on the bottom. I'm really sorry, Mr. Suffering, I can't hear you. We're going to try and fix the technology.
Well, your voice keeps breaking up anyway on this. I don't know.
Okay, Perek Nun Aleph is right in the middle of the page. And it's not only starting a new chapter, but it's starting an entire new chapter. This goes back to what we learned from chapter 35. He quoted from the Zohar that the reason why it says a person should should wear a head covering is because the Shekhinah dwells on a person's head. Divine providence dwells on a person's head. Because the body of a person is like a wick, and the Shekhinah is like a flame. And Shlomo HaMelech proclaims V'shemen al roshcha al yachzar, make sure there's enough oil on your head to fuel, keep the flame of the Shekhinah burning. And he says, what is that fuel? That fuel is good deeds. So it all started off with talking about the fact that the Shekhinah dwells on our head, the divine presence. So it makes us curious to find out what exactly is the Shekhinah? The divine presence. What do you mean the divine presence? Isn't Hashem everywhere? Hashem is everywhere. What does it mean that the divine presence dwells in a certain place? And of course we know there's a Beis Hamikdash. And in the Beis Hamikdash there's a Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies. And in the Holy of Holies dwells the Shekhinah, the divine presence. What does that mean? Hashem is everywhere. In what way is he more present in the Kodesh HaKadoshim than he is anywhere else? Or in what way is he more present wherever we're told that the Shekhinah dwells? In what way is he more present than anywhere? And it's an interesting thing. It's a household word. Everybody knows the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is talking about the Shekhinah all the time. How many times does somebody actually stop to ask, what is the Shekhinah? It can't mean Hashem himself, because Hashem himself is everywhere. Then what is the Shekhinah? So in this chapter, Perek Nun Aleph, he's going to ask this question in a very direct way and begin the explanation, answer the question. Perek Nun Aleph. V'hinei, L'toisves biur lashon hayinukah, the additional explanation to the word that we quoted from the Zohar. The Zohar quoted, so this this thing about that the Shekhinah dwells on our heads. So in order to get a better understanding. And over there, he explained that the whole emphasis on practical mitzvahs is associated with this concept, because the fuel to make the flame of the Shekhinah burn on our heads is the practical mitzvahs that we perform. So tzarech lebayir tchila lahavin ktsas inyan hashras hashkina sheikh b'neis kedush kodesh. We first have to start by explaining a little bit what is the concept of the dwelling of the Shekhinah that was present in the Holy of Holies. The same thing, wherever we find that the Shekhinah dwells in a certain location, ma'in yaning, what is it all about? Isn't Hashem's glory, doesn't Hashem's glory fill the entire earth? The Zohar says there's no place void of Hashem. Famous question somebody once asked, where is Hashem? I said, I'll ask you a better question, where is he not? Yeah, we know that Hashem is everywhere. There's no place void of him. Then what does it mean when we talk about the Shekhinah being present in a certain place? If Hashem is everywhere, then his presence is everywhere. What does it mean? The divine presence resides in a certain place, in a certain situation. However, the explanation is as follows. Because the Pasuk says, from my flesh I can see God. In other words, if I want to understand certain concepts in the godly reality, I have to start by understanding them in my own reality, and then I can take that understanding that I have of myself and restructure it to understand something about the Almighty. Why is that? Because Hashem created us in His image. And since Hashem created us in His image, whenever we want to know about Him, we can find out about first examining it ourselves. So what do we see when it comes to human beings? Ask a person, where is one's soul? Where is one's soul? Is there any specific part of a body where the soul is present? So if the whole body is alive, which we hope it is, the only way it could be alive is when the soul fills it. So the soul fills every bit of the body. The soul wouldn't fill a certain part of the body. That part of the body would be dead. So the only way that the body is alive is that the soul fills it. So just like the soul fills the entire body, all the 248 limbs and all the 358 sinews, they're all filled with the soul. Nevertheless, where is their consciousness? In the brain. And from the brain, all the limbs and organs of the body get their life force. So what exactly is different about the soul's presence in the brain from the soul's presence in the rest of it? The Afal became, nevertheless, despite the fact that all the 248 limbs and organs of the body contain the soul, head to toe, nevertheless, the main dwelling of the soul, the main manifestation of the soul, is in the brain. From the brain, it spreads to all the other limbs. And each limb receives from the brain a life force and an energy which is fitting for it according to its composition and according to its character. The eye gets from the brain the power to see. And the ear gets from the brain the power to hear. And the mouth gets from the brain the power to speak. And the legs and feet get from the brain the power to walk. As we see clearly, how do we know this is all coming from the brain? We see clearly that in the brain, a person is aware of everything going on, everything that's being achieved. There's 248 limbs. And everything that's happening. So everything that they are achieving, everything they're doing, all the different limbs, the brain is aware of that. And anything happens to it, the person burns himself, hurts himself, right away there's an awareness in the brain. So obviously the life force and the energy that is in all the different organs and limbs of the body is coming from the brain. So the question is like this. Is the soul itself more present in the brain? And does the soul have compartments? And each compartment of the soul is emailed to each organ of the body, and therefore the eye can see and the ear can hear. So he says, "V'hine ein shinui kabbalas hakeiches v'achayis shebe'evnei haguf v'neshama v'tzachatzmo v'vus." The differentiation, the various receiving of energy and life force in the various limbs of the body from the soul is surely not coming from the soul itself, from its essence. Because then we're suggesting that the essence of the soul is divisible, it's divided into 248 different portions, different parts. And they enclose themselves in 248 different places of the body. According to the image, according to the shape of the various portions of the limbs of the body. So if we were to accept that description, that the soul itself is divided into 248 different entities of life force, and that extends itself into all the different organs and limbs accordingly, then there would be following that Atzmusa Mahusa, turning over to page 142, Atzmusa Mahusa Mitsuyer B'Tzir Gashmi. Then we would basically be saying that the essence of the soul would be shaped in some kind of a physical shape. Udmus, the tabnis, some kind of an image and a form, similar to the form of the body. And therefore the soul can extend itself into different parts of the body, different parts of the soul, enclose themselves into different parts of the body. But that could only be the case if the soul was a divisible entity, if the soul was something that's made up of components. But that's not the case. The soul is surely one entity, one essence, which is spiritual, and it's completely divested of any description. It's completely divested of any physical shape or form whatsoever. And it's completely divested of any association with place or measure or limitation, which is physical. As far as the essence of the soul. So the soul is one essence, and it's completely indescribable. It's life. Soul is the essence of life. And the essence of life is present in the entire body, which is alive. So then what exactly is going on in the brain, and how does it divide itself into all the different organs? It's not possible to say about the essence of the soul that it's more in the brain than it is in the feet. But tell me the brain is more alive than the feet are? Because as we said before, the essence of the soul is not at all within the realm of space or limitation of a physical nature. So how does it work then? So let me just explain it first in my own words, and then we'll learn it more. It works out that there's three levels. There's the essence of the soul, which is completely divested of differentiation and shape and form and specifics. It's just an essence of life. That is present in the entire body. Every part of the body is just as alive as every other part of the body, because everybody has the soul. Every part of the body has the soul equally present in it. Then there is the specific energies and the specific life forces that are associated with the unique character of each organ and limb in the body. And that is present in a specific, measured manner in every organ and limb of the body. Where does that come from? So there's some kind of a unit in which all those energies and all those life forces are absorbed in one unit. And from that unit, they extend themselves into all the individual limbs and organs in the body accordingly. That unit is absorbed within the soul itself. That's like the engine, the motor of all the life force and energies that later extend themselves into all the different organs. So it works out like this. You have the soul itself. Within the soul is contained a unit, which is the source of all energy and the source of all life. And then there is the extension of that life force, the extension of that energy as it separates into each limb individually. Now this unit, this engine, from which all the individual life force and energies of the soul are extended. Where is it? This unit is in the brain. And as a result of the fact that this unit is manifest in the brain, there's two essential results in this. One essential result is that the most sophisticated powers of the soul are expressed in the brain. Understanding, consciousness, this is all ability to understand. This is all in the brain. Second of all, every other organ and limb of the body can only function in this way when it's getting its nourishment from the brain in accordance with its needs. God forbid if a person has a stroke and there's something separating between the brain and where the energy has to come from. He's still alive. The soul is still present everywhere. But this special life and energy that comes from the brain to that specific part of the body in a unique way, in a different way, in a differentiated way, it's not coming through. So if you're talking about the presence of the soul itself, the essence of the soul is everywhere equal. But if you're talking about the manifestation of the soul, the Mishkan Hanefesh, that the soul should manifest itself. So first of all, that is primarily in the brain. And it comes to every part of the body only through the brain and has to be connected to the brain in order for it to function. So it's a total of 3 different levels of essence of the soul, which is everywhere equal, the Mishkan HaNefesh, which is uniquely in the brain, and the Chayis, the Keiches HaNefesh, that come from the Mishkan HaNefesh, which is in the brain, and extend themselves into every part of the body in accordance with its unique character and its unique nature. Yeah. This is just technicalities of how the human body exists and how the soul interacts with the body. I think we're up to Rak. It's only that. So the essence of the soul is in the entire body. The Mishkan HaNefesh is in the brain, and from the Mishkan HaNefesh, it extends itself into the rest of the body accordingly. We got up to the full stop, the Hinel and Shachas. Go back to Rak, the beginning of the line. Rak Shetayag Minakeh. That's 7 lines from the top. That's Shetayag Minakeh is the highest Plulim Bob and Husaviyah. 613 different types of energies and life force that are absorbed within the essence of the soul. They're ready to go out into practice and into revelation. May I help them from who give life to the 248 limbs and 365 sinews of the body. Through them being enclosed in the life-giving souls, also has these 248 and 365 energies in life. So about the extension of the whole unit of all the 613 different energies and life force from concealment within the neshama to the body, to give life, about this unit of energy that is the source of everything that comes out in different limbs. About this, they said that the main dwelling place of this revelation, this drawing down, this revelation of this dwells in the brain. That's why the brain is the first in line to get the energies and the life force which is fitting for it, according to its composition and its character. What are the powers of the soul that are manifest in the brain? Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And the power of thinking. And everything else that pertains to the brain. Not only that, also the general extension of life force into all the other organs, is also absorbed into the brain and enclosed into the brain. And that's where the essence and the root of this drawing down and the revealed revelation of the light and the life force of the entire neshama. From there, the light spreads to all the other organs and limbs. So each organ and each limb receives an energy and a life force which is suitable to it, according to its character, according to its composition, according to its character. Power, vision coming from the brain and enclosing itself in the eye. It reveals itself in the eye. The power of hearing in the ears, the chulu, etc. All these energies and all these life forces are all extending themselves from the brain. Neshama ikar mishkan and neshama kula. That's where the main dwelling of the entire neshama is, this gili in the revealed way. So niglas sham klovos hachayis and espashut mimena. That's where the general life force that extends itself from this level is. The general life force extends itself, shines, and extends itself from there to all the limbs of the body. Similar to the way light shines from the sun into various rooms. So just like the light shines from the sun into all the different rooms, so this energy and life force comes from the mishkan hanefesh in the brain to all the different organs and limbs of the body. Then he says in the brackets, even the heart, which is a very important organ, also receives its life force from the brain. Therefore, we learn at the beginning of Tanya a very important principle that whenever there's a battle between the mind and the heart, sometimes people either don't do what they should be doing or do what they shouldn't be doing. This is an excuse. I was so tempted I couldn't control it. Now, temptation is in the heart. The knowledge of what's right and what's wrong is in the brain. So when there's a clash between the brain and the heart, who can take control? The answer is that Hashem created us in such a manner that the brain can always overrule the heart. There's no such thing as I couldn't help myself. You can help yourself. You're not an animal. An animal is impulsive. An animal does what he feels like doing. He can't control himself. A human being is different from an animal in the sense that he has the ability to control himself. He has a brain, and if the brain tells him it's the wrong thing to do, he has the ability to stop himself. We say every morning in davening, the advantage literally means the advantage of a human being over an animal is none. There is no advantage. But there is a taich. The advantage of a human being over an animal is ayin, the ability to say no. A human being can always say no. An animal doesn't have that power. A human being does have that power. That power comes to the fact that here the Alter Rebbe says, what is the reason why why the brain it's because the life sustenance, the life energy of the heart, like all the other limbs of the body, comes through the brain. The brain is the source. The brain is a circuit breaker from which all the appliances in your house get their electricity from. So all the limbs of the body are getting their nourishment, their life nourishment from the brain. Therefore, the brain can override any other limb, including the heart. As central, as important as the heart is, and as powerful as it is, it still cannot compete with the brain, because the brain is the source of life and energy for the entire body. So now our challenge is going to be to figure out how all this works in the divine system. So first of all, we know there's Hashem himself. And Hashem is everywhere equally. Then we know that there's life force coming from Hashem to every creation. And that life force is different in every creation. Right? According to its character, according to its ability, according to its loftiness and lowliness, every creation, physical or spiritual, gets a different life. Now, where is that differentiation which gives every creation its unique life force come from? So we know that there's something called the Shekhinah. The Shekhinah is the source of all divine revelation and manifestation and energy and life force in the world, as it's contained within the essence, as it's absorbed within the essence. That's the Shekhinah. The same thing as the level of soul that it manifests itself in the brain and becomes the source of energy for all the limbs and organs in the body. Similarly, in the divine structure, you have the Shekhinah, which is the engine from which all the life force in the world emanates. Now, in the person, where is this Mishkan HaNefesh? Where does it reside? It resides in the brain. So what is the equivalent to the brain in the divine structure? We have to figure out what is the Shekhinah, where does it dwell, how does it function. So once we've understood the mashal of the way it is in the human condition, and the next step is mipsori echzor lekach, from my flesh I'll work it out how it is in the divine structure. That's what we're going to learn in the next paragraph, Yisrael Hashem, next week, how it translates itself into the divine. I want to wish everybody a very meaningful Chamishas Shvat, and also to mention this Shabbos is Shabbos Shira, which the Rebbetzin, Stern Asada, the Rebbe Rashab's Rebbetzin, the Friedrich Rebbe's mother, passed away on the 13th of Shvat. Stern Asada. He passed away on the 13th of Shvat, Tavshin Beis, 1942. She came to America with the Friedrich Rebbe. She passed away on Shabbos Shira. That year was the 13th of Shvat. So it says that when she was very weak, elderly weak, she was very particular about her shiurim of learning and doctrine. And although she couldn't get out of bed, but in bed she did everything she had to do with learning and doctrine according to her saying. She got up on the morning of Shabbos Shira and said, say in Yiddish, now I'm translating, Ein is Shabbos Shira. Ein davon gar anders da. Today is Shabbos Shira. Today one has to daven in a special way. Shabbos Shira. She asked for her siddur. She began to daven. She davened until Nishmas. Nishmas kol chai, the soul of all living. And when she got to Nishmas, her soul ascended. This is Haint Shabbos Shira, Haint davon gar anders da. If you notice by Oyhel, the section of the Oyhel, which is held by the silent, the center of it is the resting place of death. So the whole area was bought when she passed away. She was the wife of the Rebbe Rashab, fifth Rebbe, the mother of the Friedrich Rebbe. She survived her husband, the Rebbe Rashab, for 22 years. The Rebbe Rashab passed away in Tavresh Pei. That's 1920. She lived till 1942, 22 years later. So she was with the Friedrich Rebbe when the Friedrich Rebbe was arrested. If you read the story of his arrest and liberation, she was involved, and she left Russia with him, Poland, war, bombardment, and she came with him to America, and she passed away in 770. Berleah was the daughter of the Balatanya, the mother of the Tzemach Tzedek. And she's the one who gave her life in exchange for her father when she understood that there was a kitrug, there was a complication which would have required her father passing. But she changed her life for her father, and she passed away very young. And she asked her father one thing, that he could look after her son. Was it Tzemach Tzedek? The Alter Rebbe gave very, very special attention to that. The Alter Rebbe said the story is written up in great detail, very beautiful story. Her yard site is Sem Gedalia. Sem Gedalia, the day after Shoshana. You're very welcome. Welcome to the Shiur. I hope you come from Windsor. Special from Windsor.